Hello, dear students. Welcome to another session for Class 10 English. In today's session, we shall look at the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. Now, this poem, written by Leslie Norris, contrasts the life of a tiger in captivity with its life in the wild. It highlights the themes of freedom, confinement, and the beauty of nature. Let's know something about its poet, Leslie Norris. Leslie Norris' full name is George Leslie Norris. He was a renowned Welsh poet and short story writer. His writing often focused on nature, animals, and the human condition. Leslie Norris is known for his gentle, observant, and lyrical style. Now let's look at the poem in detail, stanza by stanza. Here goes the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. This stanza highlights the tiger's beauty and power while emphasizing the tragedy of its confinement. Here, the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his vivid stripes, that is, his beautiful colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet, like velvet, because of which there is no sound of the tiger's footsteps. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. We understand that the tiger is angry because he is not free. Second stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. This stanza contrasts the tiger's natural life with its current captivity. It highlights how the tiger is meant to live freely, stalking prey and moving gracefully in his wild habitat. Here the poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it. But here, the tiger is in the cage and he cannot do anything. The third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. This stanza depicts the tiger's life in the wild, where it is free to express its power and instincts. The poet uses wild imagery to contrast this with the tiger's current confinement, evoking a sense of loss and longing for its natural freedom. Here, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. The word snarl refers to its aggressive nature and its power, which is suppressed in captivity. The tiger would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. Moving on to the next stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. In this stanza, the poet captures the tiger's helplessness in captivity, contrasting its majestic strength with its restricted life behind bars. Now, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell. Concrete cell refers to strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that As a tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, the tiger pays no attention to the people watching it, showing its indifference or perhaps disdain for those who have confined it. The last stanza now. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Now, here the poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So, in the night, the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The tiger's gaze is directed towards the brilliant stars, which symbolize freedom, vastness, and a life beyond the confines of the cage. The poem concludes with the tiger longing for freedom. By looking at the stars, he wishes and hopes that one day he will be free and he would enjoy the sights under the dark sky. Now let's look at the other aspects of the poem. The poet has used simple, clear, descriptive language to describe the agony of the tiger who is captured in the zoo. The tone is sympathetic, critical of captivity, and emotional, which evokes a sense of loss and injustice. The mood of the poem is reflective and somber. You can understand the helplessness of the tiger who is inside the cage, and it reflects on the cruelty of captivity and the importance of freedom for all. Let's look at the themes of the poem. First one, freedom versus captivity. The poem contrasts the tiger's natural life in the wild with its restricted existence in a zoo. Loss of natural instincts. The tiger's confinement leads to the suppression of its natural behavior, such as hunting and roaming freely. Human exploitation of nature. The poem critiques humans for confining wild animals for entertainment and shed lights on the ethical issues of disrupting the natural order and causing suffering to majestic creatures like tigers. Isolation and loneliness. The tiger's solitary life in a cage reflects its emotional and physical isolation. And last one, empathy for wildlife. The poet evokes sympathy for the tiger by portraying its plight in captivity, encouraging readers to reflect on the importance of respecting wildlife and preserving their natural habitats. Justification of the title. We understand this title is very much appropriate as it highlights the central theme of the poem, that is, the contrast between a tiger's life in captivity and its natural life in the wild. It conveys the message of respecting wildlife and allowing animals to live freely in the natural environment. So, as we conclude, let's remember that freedom is essential for all living beings. Captivity strips animals of the identity and dignity. And finally, the poem encourages protection of natural habitats and animal rights. So, thank you all for watching this video. Hope you understood and you'll carry forward the message that we need to be more compassionate towards animals and nature. We need to respect wildlife and let them roam free in their natural habitat. Thank you once again.